It was a gamble. There's no two ways about it. It was a year of investing dangerously.
David Kane is an oil and gas technical manager who spends his spare time day trading and dreaming big. A father of three living in Texas, he'd grown frustrated with mutual funds and began searching for new investment opportunities.
It was actually through a well-known blog that's on the internet. One of the guys had posted a message. He thought he had figured out how to have an edge on making money in the market.
As Kane explains it, that edge was a website called SecureInvestment.com, a foreign currency trading fund with huge online traffic.
They had a calculator where you could put in your investment amount. It'd calculate and tell you what the balance is, and you take that and put it back in. In like 7 years, you had $1.2 million.
The site promised investors they'd share in the daily trading upsides but be shielded from any downside, and boasted that tens of thousands of people in 140 countries had put in more than $1 billion.
Nowhere on the internet could you find anyone that had said they lost money or stay away from this company.
Kane decided to invest $2,500, and after signing up to the site, he was told to wire funds to an account listed at a P.O. box in the British Virgin Islands, held by a bank in Cyprus. Which seemed strange because SecureInvestment.com claimed it was based in Panama City, where trading profits could be protected from taxation.
There was a lot of red flags from the very beginning. I mean, if it was such a great deal, why was anybody even trading on Wall Street?
Registration documents the company sent out to investors looked real enough, but their registered address was not. And before long, Kane learned that Secure Investment lacked a license to trade Forex in Panama.
So I said, let's just test this thing and let's just take $500 out.
He got that money back minus a fee through this bank in the Czech Republic, and so hoped the rest of his investment would also be safe. But weeks later, on May 1st of this year, Secure Investment's website, customer services, and Kane's remaining deposit just disappeared.
The dream, the edge, the possibility of getting ahead, all that just vanished.
Across the country, former truck driver Ted Liming was also attracted to the possibility of getting ahead, and had wired the last of his life savings to Secure Investment just 6 days earlier.
I was looking for a bigger, better deal.
Searching online, Liming had found client testimonials touting the site's success.
Secure Investment is exactly as the name suggests.
But one thing was never advertised. These videos were voiced by paid actors.
I'm going to do a good job for you to promote your product and put...
In total, Liming invested nearly $22,000 over 5 payments during March and April this year, looking to rebuild his life after a 2008 bankruptcy that lost him his business and his marriage.
I wanted things to happen too quickly. I wanted to find the shortcut in life. And just right at the point where I was going to be able to look for something else is when I found out it was a fraud.
After his investments went south, Liming was forced to move north to live with his father in Watford City, North Dakota. Over the past few months, he's searched for a job in the booming energy sector here, all the while angry that so little has been done to help him.
This is a crime committed against me, and I need authorities to go to make sure that A, I get justice, and B, this doesn't happen to somebody else.
We contacted dozens of victims across the globe. Each one had wired thousands of dollars to a handful of bank accounts in Europe and beyond, held by companies registered on 3 different continents.
I would tell anybody I cared about, let me amend that and say I'll tell anybody, stay away from this market. You're going to get burnt, and you're going to get burnt badly. The retail Forex market was overrun with fraud. It was a no-win market to the unaware.
More than $5 trillion a day trades on the highly complex foreign currency markets. That's 100 times more money than changes hands at the New York Stock Exchange. Ordinary investors trade a relatively tiny volume of that in the retail market, which is overseen by the Commodities and Futures Trade Commission, the CFTC, itself supervised by Congress.
Those reforms will become the law of the land.
Over the past decade, legislation like Dodd-Frank has strengthened regulation in the US. But offshore Forex firms remain largely beyond the law.
When a man in Houston loses a few $1,000s, who pays attention to that?
The clear answer is not enough people are looking into it. The damage done relative to the entirety of financial markets is minuscule, but the damage done to the individual investor is huge.
So these are the little guys that people just forget about.
Exactly.
I blame the people that committed the crime, however many of them there were, and decided we're going to start a website, we're going to take people's money, we're not going to care if these people are trying to restart their life, we're not going to care if it's their life savings, we're just going to take it.
US authorities have just recently begun to investigate the roads that money travelled and who was responsible for taking it. Willem Marx, Bloomberg.
It was just a company that you wanted to put money into and you didn't want to take it out of because the returns were so great.
Father of three David Kane invested $2,500 in a website called SecureInvestment.com. The site promised massive returns, averaging more than 1% every day. Profits so good, people from all over the world invested millions. But in May this year, it simply vanished, and so did most of the money, including David Kane's. We set out to find where it went.
Investors from around the world wired their funds here to a branch of the Hellenic Bank on the island of Cyprus.
During the second half of 2013, more than $5 million flooded an account here, registered to Smart Integrity Limited. The company dissolved soon after, leaving various links scattered all over the world. A PO box in the British Virgin Islands, an office in London, a company secretary in the Seychelles, and a registered owner living in Latvia. Customers say they also sent money to accounts in St. Vincent, Lithuania, Poland, and the Seychelles. But it was Cyprus that the scammers seemed to prefer. Long a historic crossroads between East and West, in recent decades the island became a magnet for foreign money.
Money laundering is becoming a very easy way to do things for those companies, because money laundering was a major problem in Cyprus.
Marius Mavrides, an American-educated expert in Forex, is a member of the Cyprus Parliament's Finance Committee.
We had all the necessary regulations, but the regulatory bodies were very weak, the regulation was very weak, and they didn't uncover any cases.
Secure Investment was no different. Cypriot accounts used in the scam were closed by bank compliance officials, who reported their suspicions to the country's money laundering unit. But that unit, known as MOCAS, prosecuted nobody, and the funds left Cyprus. As the economy here teetered last year, surviving banks desperately sought new business, sometimes without enforcing the rules meant to protect depositors and investors.
The procedures are there. It's not changing the procedure will change something. It's the practicing attitude, if you want, mentality of the Cypriots to check their client and follow the procedures of the law.
Financial regulators in Latvia, Poland, and the Seychelles have started their own investigations into bank accounts linked to secure investment. But the web of anonymous shell companies and complex international transactions will provide a challenge.
I mean, it's like trying to chase a fart in a windstorm. You're never going to catch it. You know, you don't know where these people are. And who's gonna do it?
The US Department of Justice has recently begun looking for those people, a process that may well lead them here to Cyprus. Willem Marx, Bloomberg, Nicosia, Cyprus. At the very edge of Europe, beyond this fence, is a financial Wild West, where a multi-million-dollar fraud flourished far beyond the reach of financial regulation. A syndicate based in several former Soviet states created a site called SecureInvestment.com that persuaded investors from around the world to wire millions of dollars, hoping for massive returns from Forex trading.
This company was really clever. What was clever about it was that not only did you want to invest with them, the way it was structured, you didn't want to take money out. Monday night.
David Kane is an oil and gas seismologist in Texas. He'd been a day trader for years when he opened an account with the website. He was instructed to wire $2,500 from his bank, Wells Fargo, to an account in Cyprus. Then he watched as his virtual profits grew online each day. But in May of this year, SecureInvestment.com and much of Kane's initial investment simply vanished.
So everything was just a lie?
Had to be. Had to be.
But a convincing lie?
One of the best ones ever, yeah.
We wanted to find out where Kane's money ended up. Our investigation led us around the world. The most direct lead for where the funds ended up was the only named director of a holding company, and his home address was 5,500 miles away in Europe's cold northeast.
On company documents, a lawyer from Latvia called Pavels Regsdien listed this building in the Latvian capital of Riga as his registered address. But according to his landlord, Regsdien hasn't lived or worked here for well over a year.
Regsdeens repeatedly declined to discuss Smart Integrity or the Cyprus bank account, which handled more than €4 million before suspicious bank officials flagged, then froze it. Secure investments operators also exploited Latvia's own light-touch banking sector. We found at least 2 bank accounts here that received tens of thousands of dollars from defrauded investors.
Latvia is not so much a new Switzerland, as maybe a wannabe Switzerland, but more to the point, it is much more wide open. We still need development aid.
Mark Galliotti is a global affairs professor at NYU who studies crime in former Soviet Union states like Latvia.
It is clear that Latvia is one of the easiest and simplest places in which someone can just come along, even if they actually have no real stake in Latvia itself, and open a Latvian account.
Accounts linked to SecureInvestment.com were held at Ritamu Banka, where foreign-owned deposits are 10 times larger than domestic ones. The accounts here became active just weeks after Latvia joined the Eurozone in January.
It was potentially a very big opportunity for the criminals and the money launderers. Their holy grail is always to get the money into the most legitimate financial systems and into the most solid and sound currencies possible.
The accounts were opened by citizens of another nearby former Soviet state that plays no part in Europe.
We're now several hours southeast of Riga, driving towards the border with Belarus. This is at the very edge of the Eurozone and all of the financial regulation that goes with it.
The journey by road to Belarus is short, but this border fence, marking the boundaries of a pariah nation under US government sanction, served as a very real barrier for our cameras. But in terms of trade, crossing to and from Belarus has rarely been so easy. And these roads into Latvia and Lithuania are now considered a new backdoor to Europe for men, material, and of course money. Kristaps Zakoulis, head of Latvia's financial regulator, denies his country has become a hub for illicit activity.
If you were a Belarus criminal, would you choose Latvia because you think it's got a light regulatory touch?
Try. In the sense to the criminal, my message is try, and you will see the results.
The individuals behind Secure Investment did try and did see results, laundering significant sums of money and evading detection.
Those guys on the other side of the front line, they will come with new schemes, with new invented schemes.
One recent scheme to cross that front line into this distant corner of Europe was SecureInvestment.com. And now regulators here are finally investigating. Willem Marx, Bloomberg, Riga, Latvia.